Hello, hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of the Worthiness Codes Podcast. I'm your host, Jaclyn Francis, and as always, it is so beautiful to be in this space with you today. Just fell. Happy 2025. I've taken a few weeks off to just enjoy the holiday stillness or the craziness, really, however you choose to look at it. This year, I stayed in California with my sister. I didn't go home, and it was a relief to not have to travel. Of course, I missed my family, but it was very relaxing. And yeah, I hope you all are having a beautiful start to the new year. The new year, the way that I look at it, the way many people within the spiritual community look at it, doesn't start until the spring. We like to take the winter months to continue just being slow, being still, going within, planting the seeds for what's to come during the time of rebirth, which happens during the spring. So whether you celebrate the new year starting January 1st, or if you don't, just know that when the spring comes around, that's often when you will see change taking place on the physical level, the physical foundation of the earth, the physical reality within your own field. So, with that being said, things are going to be changing for 2025. The way that I show up, the way that I choose to share my voice. This is something that has been percolating within my own field, within my mind over the past couple of months. And I'm really going to take the next couple of months during the winter to sit with it all, to plant those seeds. So then when the spring comes around, I can show up in a way that is most in alignment, most authentic for me. Being on this journey of self-evolution, of growth, of self-discovery, there are many deaths and rebirths. There are many times where you will go within and reevaluate how you're choosing to present yourself and show up in the world. There are many times where your creations will shift and evolve as you shift and evolve. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing, because without change, energy remains stagnant, and that's just boring. That's not what we came here to do. But one of the things that I really realized over the last couple of months, being super present within my life and taking every day, day by day, and showing up the way that feels good. I've been so uninvolved in social media, and it's probably because my partner isn't on social media, and it's been a really great reminder that there is no need for it. And being someone who has always had a difficult relationship with social media and not understanding how I'm meant to show up, and knowing that the way that many other influencers and business owners and people choose to show up on social media doesn't work for me. It's been a journey. It's been a journey to find a cadence that works. It's been a journey to find the way that I choose to use my voice, when to use my voice, why to use my voice. It's been a journey. And I've tried being in a business coaching program as I'm still getting ready to launch my online course and my business, to do things the way that the majority of people do things. I've tried it. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel authentic to me, to my soul. And that's why I've decided to take a step back and kind of just reevaluate so I can be authentic, so I can show up in a way that is within my power, so it resonates with the majority of people. I think it's a really important reflection. In human design, I'm a manifester. And being a manifester, one of the biggest things to know is our energy comes from within. So really, we only can work and do things when we're inspired. So the way the majority of the collective chooses to do things is usually not the way that works best for us. And again, with social media, showing up every day and trying to post every single day, I did it for, I want to say, like almost 2 or 3 months, and I didn't like it. It didn't feel good. And again, I don't think it was coming off authentically, because it wasn't authentic to who I am and how I choose to present myself and share myself with the world. So things will be changing as I weave through all of that. But what remains is the podcast and being on YouTube and putting my voice and my face on here to share all of this wisdom, all of these experiences with you all. So thank you for tuning in 2025. We've been on the Worthiness Codes podcast, has been live for a year now, and it's just been such a beautiful journey. In a way, this has been a journal, truly, for my own integration, to be able to go back to all of these episodes and be like, wow, I went through so much over the last year, and to be so vulnerable and share that with you. I hope it resonates, and I hope you use it to help yourself within your own awakening, within your own journey of evolution, to feel supported, to feel inspired, to know that you are not alone, and to know that there is always light on the other side of difficult points within this journey. So today, it's going to be just a short episode. One of the things I want to talk about is something that, of course, has been was just so prevalent within my field. And we're going to be talking about energy cords. If you've probably heard the term before, an energetic cord, an energy cord, I want you to envision, before I dive into explaining what this is, there are two things I want to do. The first, I want you to envision basically like an umbilical cord. When you're pregnant, the umbilical cord is attached to you and the baby inside of you. It feeds energy, it feeds nutrients, right? The energy is going back and forth from yourself to the baby, from the baby to yourself. This is essentially what an energetic cord is. Even though there is nothing physical to it, it's not tangible. Essentially, what is happening is that there has been a cord that was formed between yourself and another person. These cords can also be formed with animals, with objects. Everything is energy. So if there is importance, or if there was some sort of exchange that was significant, even on a subconscious level, that cord could have been formed. Now, because it's energy, you can literally be carrying hundreds and thousands of cords with you that are connected to other people. So the reason why I want to share this is because once you become aware of how an energy cord can show up and present itself, it's important to have the awareness about that, so then you can take the necessary steps to cut it, because it's not serving you. There are cords that are good, that are serving you, and those don't need to be severed. But the ones that we're focusing on today are the negative ones that are not serving you, that I want you to become aware of, so you can do what is necessary to sever them, to move past them. The second part to this, I want you to take a moment and I want you to think where you're at in life right now. It can be romantically where you're at. It could be dating wise. It can also just be maybe within more of an intimate relationship with a family member or a friend. And I want you to think, if something is feeling off, right? If something is feeling off, if there's energy in your field that doesn't feel like it's fully yours, there's energy within your field that's becoming really present in a way that's almost taking over your sense of self. The way I'm going to compare this is the ego. When the ego gets really loud, it is almost like on repeat. A narrative is on repeat in your head. So the way that it shows up can be heavily tied to almost like an egoic thought, where a narrative isn't serving you, but it's more of like an energy that it's coming in and it's not serving you. So take a moment, you can jot it down. Where in your life maybe are things feeling out of balance, feeling off, feeling just energetically icky? Jot it down, take mental note, and as we move through this episode, maybe you have an energetic cord. So to just quickly define what an energetic cord is, again, it's an energy cord that is attaching itself from another person to you. So oftentimes these cords are formed within romantic relationships because the way that you show up in a romantic relationship with a partner is super intimate. You are opening yourself up energetically to that person, right? Emotionally, physically, energetically, sharing your deepest desires and past traumas and being there for one another, opening your heart space, opening yourself physically for, to have sex, that intimacy to happen. The exchange of energy is so deep, it's so profound, it's so closely tied, and it's so consistent. And especially if you're living with someone, like you're sleeping next to them, the energy is merging on a level that you probably can't really comprehend. But there are energetic cords that are formed. Now, are these energy cords formed throughout the entire relationship? Probably. But from what I've experienced and from what I understand, these energy cords, the ones that are meant to show up and teach you a lesson, are going to be formed during difficult periods within that relationship that are going to show up later on to teach you a lesson so you can see it and then you can sever it. Because an energy cord is essentially passing information, passing emotions, passing patterns, passing ways of thinking related to that person. Now, there can be cords where it's literally that person, just their energy coming in. There can be cords where it's related to that person. So certain ways that you would handle a situation, certain emotions, certain triggers, certain traumas, right? And it's an energy that's tied to that person, either from you, from them, from the container, from the relationship, from both, that will be passing through these cords. So, like anything else in life, when you are about to experience an up level, or you are moving through an up level, when you are moving through something that is of a higher frequency, of a higher vibration, that is something more profound, more beautiful, here to serve you, you need to understand, you need to feel, you need to see the energy that could possibly be holding you back so you can feel it and move through it, so it doesn't anchor you into a past timeline, it doesn't anchor you into a lower density, so you can fully experience this new energy, this new version of self, this new experience in the highest form that it's meant to be experienced. So I know I've talked about healing a lot. When something bubbles up to surface, it's because it's time for you to sit with it. It's time for you to see it, to feel it, to understand it, so you can move through it and experience what's on the other side of it. Now, if we look at romantic containers, romantic partnerships, when you are cultivating a new romantic relationship with someone, and again, this is most likely after you've done the inner work where you're not repeating a pattern, you're not receiving the same type of partner that's on the same vibrational frequency as the last one, it's an up level. You've healed yourself, you've done the work, your partner healed himself, he's done the work as individuals. Now it's time to come together at a higher frequency than the last relationship. Things are going to come to surface that need to be dealt with. And on the last episode, I talked about conscious relationships, right? So if the two of you in this new relationship are conscious, you are able to see, okay, this is not serving me. This is an old pattern. This is trauma. You're able to work through it individually and together. So when the cord will present itself, it's presenting itself because it's time for it to be severed. Now, what's really funny is the way that these cords will present themselves. So something I want you to take note of, especially as women, it never fails. When you're in a new relationship, when you're dating someone, for some reason, it's like your ex can sniff it out and will just like pop in to be like, remember me? And you're like, what the fuck? Like, why? I haven't thought about you in months and years. And now you're just like randomly saying hi. that happens, it's probably because there's an energy cord or energy cords still tied to that ex that want to present themselves, that are most likely about to present themselves, right? So when they come into your field, it can be through communication, through a text, through a DM, through a call, whatever it is, just know that that's the start to an energetic cord. This can expand. They can come into your dreams. They can be very present within your mind. It can feel like they are essentially infiltrating your space on an energetic level, whereas before it was like they weren't there. The reason why it's happening is because when you're in a new relationship, again, that's an up level, everything seems to be going really well. It's not like your ex is coming back to hold you back. It's the energy tied to your ex that's coming back to make you feel all of the things that don't serve you, so you can let them go, so you can evolve within this new container and be the version of self that's needed for this new partner and show up as such. So just take note of that, because usually it's not a coincidence. It's not like they're just like sniffing it out. It's probably because it's an energy cord. So if that's happening, and at the same time, maybe what's happening within your relationship is that you're experiencing old ways of being, you're experiencing old feelings that you haven't experienced within this relationship before, usually negative, right? Usually old patterns, old wounding is coming up to surface and being like, and it can be, you can be like, this doesn't feel like me. This doesn't feel like it's mine. This doesn't feel like it's who I am in the present. This feels like an old version of self. I would have never done this. I wouldn't have handled this. I wouldn't have said this. I wouldn't have acted this way. I wouldn't have had these emotions or these feelings. What is happening? Those are cords. Those are cords, again, coming to surface so you can recognize them, so you can let them go. Now, this isn't just energy where you can sit with yourself and heal, like a pattern or a shadow, right? Of course, I mean, again, it's like, we don't know anything at the end of the day, and energy is so complex because there is no constructs around it. There's no way to really understand it because of how vast and how deep energy runs, especially when it's tied to your soul. But from what I understand and what my experience and what I can feel is that when something is fully yours, tied to a wounding, tied to trauma, and it's fully yours coming from your being, you can sit and you can release it. When it's an energetic cord, it has your energy, but it's tied to someone else's energy as well. So to sit with it and to release it, there has to be a way to sever it. So what I would suggest is, if you're not familiar with cutting cords, if you feel like you are, which I'm sure a lot of you are, energetically sensitive, you are a profound healer within yourself, you meditate, you're aware, you're spiritually educated and interested, you can probably go on YouTube and just Google energy cord cutting and do a self-guided meditation. Again, these cords can just vary with how deeply integrated they are within the other person and yourself. They can be smaller cords, which maybe you can release. So if you want to try it on your own, by all means, use your discernment, go for it. I saw a healer and she helped me cut them. She identified them. I didn't even know what it was. I had a feeling that's what it was, but she identified them. We moved through a lot of them and we severed them, so they won't be present anymore. Now, if something specific, again, this is going to be a reflection. This episode is a reflection for you to become aware. So, in the future, if you have an energy cord, or maybe in your present, if something feels off, you can be like, oh my God, light bulb moment. I have an energetic cord tied to whomever. It's time to cut it. You can sit with yourself. You can move through it yourself, just as you would move through trauma. But again, there's a deeper layer to it. So you're not just allowing something to bubble up. You're not letting it go. You're not transmuting it. You can try to do that, see what happens. But to completely sever it, you need to take it a step further, either doing a cord cutting ceremony found on YouTube, sitting with a healer, doing it on your own. If you intuitively know how to cut a cord, go ahead. I've cut them on my own before. Anytime I leave a relationship, I do a whole ceremony to make sure my energy is completely severed from that person. Does it work? Clearly not, because there's cords still there. So use your discernment, do what feels good. But let me see if there's anything else that wants to come through. Just know that it's not a negative thing, right? Of course, it's negative energy because it's not serving you, but it's not a negative thing because it's presenting itself for growth. Okay. So if you have these cords, don't be afraid. Don't feel like you've taken a step back. You have never and will never take a step back on your journey with an awakening. It's a constant upward spiral. These things show up so you can continue on that spiral. Again, you're releasing it to go zoop, right? To allow the new container, the new relationship, the new partnership to evolve in an energy that is here to serve you best. And that's why it's so important as a conscious being to have a partner who is conscious, to understand, to maybe even tell you like, hey, something is going on. I don't think this is your energy. Like, I'm concerned. A, and B, to also just be able to receive what you tell them and what it is, so they can hold space and they can allow you to move through it as well. So you're okay. At the end of the day, you're going to be okay. It's wild. Like, these things are my mind is always amazed, right? And I've been on this journey for years, and it's like, I've known of energy cores. I've known I have them before, but to be fully aware of the entire process of knowing that I'm up leveling, knowing that I'm deepening my relationship, knowing that my new partner is at such a higher vibrational level than my last, right? And being so happy and moving into my heart and literally just having that expansion within myself and within the relationship, to then get to a point where it's almost like your ego may be hitting a ceiling. Like, your ego may be hitting its limit, its ceiling, being like, okay, this is as good as it's going to get. So then the cord will present itself to be like, this is as good as it's going to get. Let me just show you, let me show you what you used to be like. So you can see, either you're going to stay stagnant here by ignoring the energy, by keeping the cord attached to that old version of self, attached to that old relationship, or you're going to bust through the ceiling by acknowledging the cord, acknowledging that old energy, moving through it, severing it, so then you can expand. So then you can up level, and that ceiling no longer sits where it was at, but it raises, right? So that's why this work is so important. That's why having self-awareness on a level where it doesn't even make sense, like, this goes past self-awareness. This is an awareness of spiritual awareness. This is energetic awareness. This is understanding yourself in a way where you can see that something is mine, something is not mine, something is serving me, something is not serving me. So that's what this journey of awakening is all about. Of course, it's about expanding your soul, but at the same time, it's expanding your self-awareness, because the more self-aware you become, the more powerful you become, the more in your self-mastery you are, because you're not letting anything outside of you take you outside your power. Instead, you're staying here, you're staying in your center. And of course, you'll be knocked off of it again when you experience a cord and experience the energy that's showing up. You're moving through that energy. The energy is presenting itself. So you may act in a way that you don't like because it's an old version of self, right? So it may knock you off your center, but you always are here because you can understand and you can recognize and you can take the steps to be like, no, thank you. That's not mine. That doesn't serve me. Let's move past it. So know that you are a master of self, that you have the awareness inside of you to be awakened, so you can always be your center. You can always move through from a place of self-mastery, because you are worthy, always you are worthy of being the best version of self and experiencing life through that same lens, having partners that are a reflection of that, right? Having life be a reflection of that. So no, if you're at a low, it's still making its way. You're still making your way up the upward spiral. Know that there is light on the other side of it. Know that difficult things are always a gift of growth if you allow them to be. So I hope you gained a new level of awareness and a new understanding about cords. And if it's showing up for you now, take the necessary steps. If it's going to show up for you in the future, now you know, hopefully, how to handle it. So that's all. I love you. I love you. I love you. Until next time. Bye.